Marabatuan has been quite a long, time of the ministry. I think about 30 years that has been there. But we have been having a lot of
challenges
because when you work with the tribes, they have a tendency to lean on whoever wants, to support them, to feed them. So we have been bombarded with a lot of different kinds of ministries that goes to the tribes. So what we did is just remain on the goals and the strategies that give us and just train those ones that has the same heart. So those that doesn't belong with us, we give them the freedom to say, maybe you are intended to work in that ministry. Well, if it is based on support, I found out that when support stops, they also stop working in the ministry. So the whole concept of the strategy of the Ministry of International One Way Outreach, we don't support anybody. Everybody must have a church. The church supports the pastor. In that way, the work just goes on, and we believe that it is divine, strategy that God has given us, and we never follow other ministries. It's just to fulfill the DNA that God has given us. And for such a time, there was the work in Marabatuan have continued, and right now we have established 22 churches in the tribes of Marabatuan, the Manobo and the Bilaan tribes.
There is some important islands in the scripture.
Nakakawalo ba mo nga naay importante nga isla sa Biblia?
There's an island that's extremely important in the verses.
Naay isla nga importante kaayo nga nasulat sa
And
Biblia.
we find this island after a great storm.
The service in Marabatuan, that was incredible. But that service, it was killer. I think we went pretty high into the mountains, pretty far away from city life. So it was, some people there spoke English, some didn't, so there was an interpreter for Brian when he was preaching. But it felt like home, like that solidified it. Marabatuan already felt like home, but when service hit, I was like, oh, these are our kind of people. We understand this. This is something that's, no matter what language was being spoken, I was like, I get this, I understand how this is working, and they were about it. It was fantastic. They went for it. There was worship for at least 45 minutes, and sometimes, you go places and you don't see that. It's like 2 songs and done, and it was a solid 45 minutes, and then they started to introduce everyone. It was one of those experiences where that was a service that felt like home. It felt awesome to have someone 12 time zones away doing the same kind of stuff that we do here in their own way, and it just felt so natural, and it felt, I'm always grounded in those moments where I go, God, these are your people. My frame of reference is very small. I'm like American church because that's what I've known most of my life. And I go to these other places and I go, you are God right here, right now, and I'm worshiping you. And maybe I'm having to make up some lyrics because I don't understand everything that's happening here. But it is always a grounding moment when I get in those services, or when there's just a guitar or any kind of instrument and they're doing praise and worship, and I'm like, this is still to you, and that is such a humbling experience that my mindset can be broadened like that. It just felt like family in Marabatuan.